thank you for you guys to attend the event. And let's start the panel session. So for the first panel session, the topic is about the insights about blockchain communities. So welcome the speakers. First is Ken Garofalo, the Boston chapter president of Tezos Commons Foundation. Zhou, the CEO of First Blood.
Actually, Zhou. My first name is Zhou.
Okay.
Zhou.
James Moreau, the senior support engineer of ConsenSys, and Charles Lee, the managing director of Spark Blockchain. And Charles Lee is also the moderator of this panel session. So let's start the panel.
All right, thank you, Zhou. If you guys can hear me, I'll just do this. All right, thank you for you guys to come here and supporting us. So as I know, people here speaking on the panel are most into the blockchain world for a while, and I know Zhou has actually been here since 2012, and James, you are even earlier.
No. Later. He's the OG.
All right, cool.
2014.
All right, Ken is about probably earlier than I do, so I'm the youngest, so that is why I'm wondering. So, and most of the people here are into blockchain worlds from different perspectives, and they all have a very good understanding on what is community. And First Blood and ConsenSys, as well as like Tezos Commons Foundation, they're all very active from different perspectives. So today's topic is mainly from me to ask about how they guys are cracking the community. And the first question should write to me. What's your and your opinion experience of getting involved into global community, and how you guys do the community management? So what's your insights and what you experience about that? You want to go first?
I'll start just to warm us up here. So at first it was actually quite difficult, but I feel like if you have a outgoing personality, it becomes easier. Just an example, our first meetup in Boston was held at a bar, Veggie Galaxy. I don't know, some of you guys might know it, it's in Cambridge here. Basically, they didn't reserve a space for us. So we had about 20 people clogging a hallway leading into the bathroom, and it was a problem. So we had to think on our feet a little. We actually ended up moving the event to a sushi restaurant just right down the street. But the point of it is, you just have to be constantly providing a space where people can meet and talk about the ideas that you're formulating. The networking is key when you have a consistent area to meet monthly or even more than monthly. When I was first learning how to build the communities, someone compared it to religion, like having a place to go worship. I thought this was kind of an odd comparison, but there's a lot of similarities there.
I would say if we're talking about that type of community as well, we could talk about the different types of community. Can everyone hear me, by the way? So I would say I've started a couple meetup groups, and I've been part of some really good meetup groups. And I would say one of the things I would encourage anybody is if you have a specific interest, don't feel like a lack of expertise is something that should prohibit you from starting a working group or a discussion group. Even if you are going to try and learn something, you can find other people to learn with, and that's how some of the best. That's how some of the best, least contrived meetups happen that have the strongest communities. Is where everyone's coming together to learn something together, and those are the things people show up for month after month after month. So I would encourage anybody who has even if it's very niche, and you think maybe there aren't going to be that many people interested in it, just try and get a small meetup. Even if the first meetup is 5 people, you would be really surprised how fast these things can grow, from 5 to 50 to 150 beyond. So I encourage everyone to try that if you haven't already.
All right, so it's my turn. I felt like sitting here today, just before even this panel started, I was talking to you about First Blood, right? I want to do a quick poll, like how many of you guys have heard of our project, First Blood? Okay, quite a few, that's great, yeah. The reason why I guess James was calling us OG because we started so early. And I feel embarrassed kind of like sitting here talking about community because we're so quiet, sitting in the background. But I've been involved in this space very early on, since like 2012 when I was in college. caught Bitcoin bug, started my first company around the Bitcoin space, and moved that on, and ultimately co-founded FirstBlood, one of the first companies in ICO back in 2016, when that wasn't even called an ICO, it was called a crowd sale. So my first-hand experience sort of gets stretched, from the beginning of the time to now, how the community is managed, how to build up a global presence. At the very beginning, because the group and circle was really small and it's fairly easy, you can attend Ethereum Meetup, talk about a project, and gather them around. Just drop them the link of Slack they were joining, and then put some community guidelines, and make sure the translation is on point, and get volunteers to be there to engage them, spark conversations, and give them materials to read about your project and create content around it. And then later on, this whole thing changed, and there were a lot of projects coming out back in 2017 and early 2018 when the crypto was booming. So in terms of building the global presence, the strategy really changed, plus the pressure you're taking from the regulatory environment. So you should, I think that's ultimately caused the issue. We can't talk about a lot of things, but including the project's performance as some market cap website or other things. To echo your points, I think a lot of community building is by providing an environment of open forum, allow people to discuss what this project or ultimate mission is, and try to cultivate, engage in the conversation, and show them the progress that you're making. Yeah.
Can I say something quick? Because there's a group in New Haven that got started just as a beer and pizza thing every 2 weeks from people who were interested. They taught each other, and then they began getting local gigs and then getting gigs in New York and Boston. And because they were meeting just casually and socially, they became good networkers for each other. Every new person who got attracted got kind of mentored and taught. And then they split off a group for like Aetherium Digital app work, because that was like a developer focus. So even though they started out social, they had little other meetups that they created over time for people who wanted to get serious and do real development or teach each other the programming, okay? So it's possible to begin with almost nothing, like in New Haven, which is not a town known for a lot of cryptocurrency work, and then sort of grow it into stuff. And don't get discouraged. I was interested in this company called MadeSafe in 2007, which did not get
Still around
for a long time. I went through their ICO together. I even invested in them with Bank of the Future, right? That company still has not shipped its first product because it's so ambitious. But it's a charity. It's a nonprofit like Linux. It's giving it all away. But my point is there are a lot of different things to get involved in. So for example, if you're not getting hired, maybe find an interesting nonprofit software thing or open software thing to work on. Get some experience that way. There's a lot of ways in.
It's true, and also I think those people, so from most of the blockchain project, they're more from the global perspective. So even I know that James that you were into MetaMask, right? So MetaMask will be, I would describe it as the first usable and most popular wallet that from Ethereum currently.
Web3 interface. I mean,
All right.
Yeah, to use a DApp, you basically needed to use either Mist browser or
Exactly.
MetaMask for a while.
See, everybody from the global are actually using that, and also the Tezos Commons as one of the foundation from the Tezos community, they contribute a lot, and I think
Right, so Tezos Commons Foundation has fostered over 60 global communities, and the one here in Boston was, if not the first, it might have been the first community. So we sort of led by example. We weren't perfect like the story I described, but it was an icebreaker for other people to look at, and sort of they could feed off of that and try to improve on what we did. So it's also good to have some sort of structure when you're hosting any kind of meetup, whether that's a presentation that you garner, maybe you don't have the information yourself, but you can use the online communities to come up with some sort of structure and presentation. And then people are very willing and receptive when they see your passion. They might even, a higher up in the community might want to visit what you're doing in your spot and give you more exposure, give you more credibility. And this is a career fair too, so this is a great way to get involved before you guys get hired.
Yeah, and also Zhou are into the gaming community a lot.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so I think because the gaming, because we are also one incubator that is out in Boston, have some cool gaming project on pipeline, and also oversees a lot of back and forth communication with gamers and publishers, and also those players within the gaming industry. The gaming industry is very different, and it's I would say it's the it's a bunch of the different people who are talking not the same language as us, and the way that they're thinking is totally different. But the one thing that I noticed, whatever they're thinking about, whatever they're talking about, they're all human beings. They all have specific needs, and just create a community associated with that, and they will become the follower of you. I think that part, Zhou, I think you definitely have a lot of experience with that part as well.
Yeah, so I want to make point that I think the gamer community and people who are passionate about blockchain, cryptocurrency, they all really like needs. I think that's one of the common points. I'm not complaining about catering the needs toward the building a gamer community, but they're really tough to cater towards you. Gamer community, I would say among everyone who's sitting here who use some sort of app, those people are the least forgiving people in terms like the UI UX and the game, in terms of how game interacts and whether you're getting enough value out of the product.
They'll instantly make fun of anything.
Yeah, exactly. Anything. And once you run out of things to make fun of, they can make up something to make fun of. It's really interesting, and we've been running the gaming community since we launched our product, and I think a lot of work, because gamers don't like to meet up actually in the United States, strangely, but in Asia they go in packs to internet cafes and they will rent out like a row of 5 seats and play League of Legends together. Here there's sort of a stigma, like you go home, you play games, and your coworker judge you, or your students. You're afraid of raising your hand. I was doing a speech at BU, as we're going to school, before about my entrepreneurship path, and when I was asking how many people play video games, there were not many people raised their hand. And after the panel was over, a lot of people lined up. They asked me, about different type of games they play. Really interesting, yeah.
That's very interesting.
I would just add, when we think about communities, a lot of people think that communities are something that's marketing related, or just like big shill fests. And in reality, when you think about what an international community or a local community is like, everybody is playing a different role. And if you think about the blockchain space, you can go, if you have an ambassador, if a project has an ambassador program, for instance, you need anyone from vloggers who are willing to talk about your product, to podcasters, to people who are willing to test your product, give feedback on it, help other users use your product, not just, or create events. And so, again, just to echo an earlier thought that I didn't know if I articulated clearly, is there's a role for every person in the community development space, internationally or whatever, and all of those roles can eventually lead to jobs eventually. If you're performing well, creating good connections, helping people, being stewards of the community, that is really what helps you get a job. I mean, that's how I've gotten jobs. I don't know if anyone else here has gotten jobs that way.
Yeah, not myself, but we hired a person previously. He was working for DAO. He was actually a person, his name is Oren. He works for another project in the blockchain space. He used to be the, #1 front person running the DAO forum. Anyone knows about the decentralized VC DAO here? No? Too early?
That's probably too early.
DeFi.
So he interacted with our project, followed through everything. We ended up getting him a job from Australia here to work for us. But that was a really great example of how he was engaged early on. We saw what he was able to do it, and we offered him the job, yeah.
So I think Zhou mentioned from working from Australia to here. So I think the blockchain world entire is more like decentralized, and that is, I think, the buzzword to use. But it's right. People are working from different places. And what you guys challenge when you working with people from all over the places, in terms of communication internationally, and also time zone difference and language barrier for sure. So how you guys oversee those challenges? And
I think media distribution of what you're doing with your communities is very important for the global impact. Yeah, you can have a great meeting, you can discuss great ideas, you can lead technical workshops, but how are you getting that message to people across the country, across the world? So it helps to sort of like almost have create a media company as well if you guys are creating communities, because they go hand in hand, and that helps distribute exactly what you're trying to get your message across to that global audience. If they're in a different time zone, well, they can just watch the video when they wake up if you're uploading videos. So content distribution.
Content is the king.
I like bounties. You know, I would say when you have a distributed team or workforce, or or just have a lot of freelancers, you have people maybe on the other side of the planet that want to contribute in some way. And so number one is making sure that you're communicating with them, because if somebody wants to help you and they don't know how to they don't know how to get in touch with you or have their questions answered, it's really frustrating and they tend to drop off. And so having a good communication rapport is important. And then something like Gitcoin, which is a ConsenSys project, that basically you can create all these different bounties that can be filled by people as their skills fit. So if you're a Python developer or a Rust developer or a graphic designer, you can just hop in and participate in these bounties for all different types of organizations. And that's a very fluid way of working that I think a lot of people are becoming more comfortable with.
I would say, if you think about community, the way how you're distributing information or allowing people to communicate, it's kind of similar to running a marketing campaign, right? So channels are very important. Where you devise these channels and how you make them available to the community. For example, for us, we have two pockets of very distinct community. One is the crypto blockchain community. The other one is gaming community. And we house thousands of them in our Discord channel, and that's one way we're communicating and sending out information to. Sometimes it gets chaotic. So I want to highlight the message of saying I think the channels are very important, and make sure the messages you're trying to deliver is also being curated or translated to different languages, because sometimes people from different parts of the world, they might have different culture, we interpret the message very differently.
Yeah, I think I would just add on that translation part, because we do a lot of cross-border communication for our project as well as clients. So the recent cases is we had a client which come to us and say, hey, can you help me to translate this doc into the Chinese language? I was like, hold on a second. So you asked me to translate, right? He said, yes. And I would say, why don't you just using Google Translation? He says, yes, that's a good idea. And that time makes me thinking about this is probably not something that's strategy, because if you want to run in especially cross-border communication as well as like cross-border documentation preparation, and it's very important to truly understand who you're talking with. Not say I know how to speak a language. I know speaking Mandarin. I know how to speak Japanese. It's not the case. You need to understand who you are talking to. I think that is a key in terms of the translation part, because that's a lot of interesting story that we've been.
My favorite translators are people who translate without even asking for permission, and they just don't. Right. And they're just like, hey, check this out. I translated, your manual,
Exactly.
And that's amazing. That's the best thing ever.
Have you guys noticed, like on GitHub, whenever you launch something, and there's always someone do a pull request with a translated version, and they ask you to merge it?
So you guys make good points. It's also about empowering those members of your community to take leadership roles to help that globalization take effect. So you may meet someone at one of these community events you're hosting that speaks Mandarin or that speaks Japanese, and they have a subset of contacts that could possibly expand your community, and you want to empower them to maybe even create what you're doing, replicate that process in an area that could facilitate those languages.
That's true.
Both sides have to be generous. So if you're generous with your time and energy, and the company's generous with being open and communicating and listening, then you can grow much more quickly. And don't expect anything at the beginning, because the odds are you're going to get something. It's just a matter of time. So just keep giving, because if you're passionate about that, that's what matters the most.
All right, thank you. So I think.
I just wanted to say, as a plug to our host, Bing's translator is one of the only things I think that they have on Google. So if you're translating large text.
Wow. yeah, we can do that. All right, I think we are run out of time for this panel, and I think to have one question for you guys. Anybody have a question you can ask, but just only one. Who is the first one? I will just be the first one to ask.
The last one you asked it, right? One.
Yeah. All right. If people have no question, then we can have our moderator, have our Zhou came back, who can help us to introduce our next panel. All right. Thank you for the panelists to sharing about the views and insights, and we're looking for more. And you can definitely talk with those folks in next room after next panel. All right.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
Thank you.